Power Automate versus Logic Apps, 7 Key Differences for 2026. So, Power Automate versus Logic. It's something a lot of people ask about, and today we're going to walk through it step by step. Next up, moving on to what is the difference between Power Automate and Azure Logic Apps. Power Automate is a low-code workflow automation tool inside Microsoft's Power Platform. It targets business users, citizen developers, and Microsoft 365 teams who need to automate repetitive tasks without writing code. Flows are built through a visual designer and run in Microsoft's managed cloud. No infrastructure, no ARM templates, no DevOps pipeline required. Azure Logic Apps is an Azure native integration service built for developers and IT teams. It shares the same underlying runtime as Power Automate, but the deployment model, pricing, governance controls, and operational tooling are fundamentally different. Logic Apps workflows deploy as Azure resources, integrate with Azure DevOps and Bicep/Terraform, and connect to enterprise monitoring tools like Azure Monitor and Application Insights. The practical split: Power Automate handles day-to-day task automation inside Microsoft 365. Logic Apps handles system integrations, API orchestration, and high-volume event processing on Azure. This Power Automate Azure comparison maps to two distinct audiences, and conflating them leads to expensive rework. Now, let's talk about the 7 key differences between Power Automate versus Logic Apps. Low-code versus pro-code automation covers more than coding ability. The real question is who owns the workflow, who maintains it, and who debugs it when it fails. Power Automate targets business analysts and operations managers. Logic Apps targets developers who need code-level control, custom connectors, inline expressions, ARM/Bicep deployment, and structured observability. A finance team automating invoice approvals belongs in Power Automate. An IT team building a customer onboarding pipeline that calls internal APIs, writes to Azure SQL, and queues messages in Azure Service Bus belongs in Logic Apps. Power Automate per user plans run approximately $15/user/month, and per flow plans cost around $500/flow/month. Azure Logic Apps pricing runs on two models, consumption and standard. Full details are on the official Microsoft Azure Logic Apps pricing page. Next up, Power Automate versus Logic Apps cost comparison for enterprises. Power Automate is cheaper for small teams with simple workflows. Logic Apps is cheaper for high-volume, complex integrations. Here is a practical breakdown. One thing worth knowing: Power Automate Premium is included in Dynamics 365 licenses, so organizations already on Dynamics 365 may have premium access without additional cost. Microsoft Automation Tools market share continues to grow as Power Platform competes directly with Zapier, Make, and UiPath. Microsoft reports the Power Platform is used by millions of organizations globally. Power Platform automation ROI benchmarks for mid-market companies consistently show 15 to 20% productivity gains on properly implemented processes, though that number varies significantly by implementation quality. Azure Logic Apps enterprise adoption rate has also risen steadily as more ISVs standardize on Azure integration services for their back-end pipelines. Let's talk about how to choose between Power Automate and Azure Logic Apps. Neither tool is objectively better. The right question is which fits your team, your IT maturity, and your use case. If your automation lives inside Microsoft 365, start with Power Automate. It has the deepest M365 connector coverage, the lowest barrier for business users, and licensing already in most M365 agreements. Approval workflows, document routing, scheduled reports, and notifications are Power Automate's natural territory. We built a full leave management app in Power Apps with Power Automate handling all the approval logic. The entire project took 3 days from kickoff to production. That is the speed advantage Power Platform automation tools deliver when the use case fits. Let's talk about now: can Power Automate and Logic Apps work together? Yes, and this hybrid approach is actually the recommended architecture for many enterprise scenarios. You can trigger Azure Logic Apps from Power Automate using an HTTP trigger on the Logic Apps side, passing data from a user-initiated flow into a back-end pipeline. A practical example: a sales team uses Power Automate to capture a deal closed event in Dynamics 365. That flow calls a Logic Apps HTTP endpoint, which then orchestrates a multi-step onboarding sequence, provisioning accounts in Azure AD, calling the billing API, creating project records, and sending operational alerts. The sales team sees a simple Power Automate flow. IT manages the back-end integration in Logic Apps with full RBAC and CI/CD controls. This pattern also solves the governance problem. IT controls everything inside Logic Apps while business users work within a Power Automate interface scoped to what they actually need. For cloud workflow orchestration at enterprise scale, this division of responsibility is more practical than forcing all automation into one tool. Now, next up, what are the limitations of Power Automate for complex integrations? Power Automate or Logic Apps for API integration is a question that comes up most often when teams hit Power Automate's real limits. Debugging is limited. When a Power Automate flow fails, error logs give basic run history with minimal context. Logic Apps integrates with application insights and gives structured JSON logs, correlation IDs, and the ability to resubmit failed runs from any point in the workflow. For production integrations, this difference is substantial. Version control is manual. Power Automate flows live in environments, not Git repositories. You can export solution packages, but it is a manual process most teams skip. Logic Apps workflows are ARM resources that go through Git, pull requests, and standard release pipelines. Next up, let's talk about how to migrate Power Automate flows to Azure Logic Apps. How to migrate Power Automate flows to Azure Logic Apps is a practical concern for teams that outgrew their original setup. There is no one-click export. Microsoft provides migration guidance in the official Azure Logic Apps documentation, but the practical approach is a rebuild, not an automated conversion. Here is the process that works. The rebuild step matters more than most teams expect. Power Automate flows often lack proper exception handling because the visual designer makes it easy to skip those details. The migration is an opportunity to fix that. In our KYC automation project, rebuilding rule-based processing workflows with proper exception handling cut processing time from 5 days to 4 hours. The same quality improvement happens when you migrate with intention rather than rushing a conversion. Next up, now, conclusion. Power Automate versus Logic Apps is not a competition with one clear winner. Microsoft designed these tools for different teams, and both are maturing quickly in 2026. Power Automate is the right enterprise automation platform for business users working inside Microsoft 365, fast to deploy, low maintenance, and likely already licensed. Azure Logic Apps is the right cloud workflow orchestration tool for IT and development teams building production integrations on Azure, with the DevOps tooling, security controls, and observability that high-stakes workflows require. The decision is straightforward once you know who owns the workflow. Business user builds and maintains it. Start with Power Automate. IT team owns the integration. Start with Logic Apps. For complex organizations, both Microsoft workflow automation tools run side by side, each doing what it was built for. If you want an architecture review before committing to either tool, Q Services works with mid-market and enterprise teams across healthcare, logistics, and financial services to design Microsoft automation systems that actually scale.